Привет. Is that okay? Yeah? Hi, how are you? First of all, really nice to be here one more time. It's my second time here in Russia, so super happy to be here. And today we're going to talk about building conversational apps with Firebase and Google Actions. Have you been in the presentation before? Yeah? So basically what we're going to do now is go deeper into coding and check how we can combine Google Actions with Firebase. So first of all, I would like to introduce you why right now voice and AI is such a hot topic. If you've been watching the trends before it was everything about mobile first, right? A few years ago, especially in Google I/O, everything was mobile first. Think mobile first. Right now, we have something different that is related with AI first. So if we check the trends, basically, during the last years, the AI and also the Google Assistant is such a trend. So right now, as developers, we have more tools to get involved with voice or another things like AI. In my case, I really enjoy to work with sound. I really enjoy to work with AI. I'm going to explain a little bit better later. So it was a really nice opportunity to me to mix my passion about sound, like music, and coding. Why not? So basically, what does it mean for the users to start using AI or sound? We can go basically from this to be in a place everybody was with their cell phone to basically have more interaction with everybody. Besides the kind of addiction that we can have when we are socializing or having dinner with somebody and everybody is looking at their phones, right now we can be a little bit more free and just use sound. That's why actually it's a good way to focus into sound on these kind of devices. So we have this thing that is called AI first, right? We have machine learning. Everybody's talking about machine learning. If I mention machine learning, companies are like, oh, wow, you're the best. But let's think how, as developers, we can actually use machine learning. At the same time, we had speak recognition, okay? So we have another tool that we can use to create better apps. Basically, I can have somebody start talking, and my app can recognize what I'm saying if my accent is not really bad, most of the time. And third one, language understanding. If you have been already involved with, for example, Google Translator, right now that I'm in Russia, I need it a lot. Besides Привет, I have to keep thinking about Google Translator. You have the chance to, for example, take a picture and use AI to recognize which language is in the paper and then use real-time translation. So we have all these three tools. And right now, we can combine both of them and use Google Actions. So with Google Actions, if you heard before the other presentation, it's not only related with the Google Assistant. Actually, we can use, for example, another displays. We can use it in our phone. In my case, I travel a lot, so it's kind of hard to go with my Google Assistant everywhere. So most of the time, I play around with my cell phone. I use the Google Assistant there. So besides have the opportunity to have it in different kinds of devices, it's already ready in different languages. Really proud to say that I'm from Argentina. That's why you can hear this accent, like, where is this girl from? So really happy to say that actually it's ready in Russian, Spanish, and even Latin Spanish, not only English. It means, like, not only as developers, only as creators, we can create more things and reach more audience. So again, what does this mean for a developer? Well, in my case, I'm pretty happy to be a developer right now. 10 years ago, being a developer, maybe it was related with playing around QBasic or even Visual Basic, if somebody here knows what I'm talking about. But right now, we can play with sound, with AI, without even being a data scientist. So I believe that we are in really excited times to play with AI and being a software developer. So let's see how we can actually create new apps with the Google Assistant. First of all, we're going to use the Google Assistant. The Google Assistant will be the conversation that we're going to have with somebody. Second, we are going to use actions on Google, okay? With actions on Google, we are going to create actions to actually use the Google Assistant and even have more functionality. So basically, you have a small device, and you can create stuff. Isn't it cool, isn't it? And then we have the different devices. Again, we are not only having the Google Assistant, we also have our mobile phones and other things like IoT. So let's start talking about actions on Google. You're going to have actions on Google, and you're going to have the possibility to get involved with this platform and create your own conversations. So what we are going to see today is my actually conference assistant. I've been traveling a lot during the last weeks, and actually I don't remember how many flights I have this week, more like 5, 6. I got one of my friends told me, Laura, you have to maybe hire a PA, a personal assistant. And I was like, it sounds okay, but I don't want to hire somebody. So why not let's create our own conference assistant? So sounds like a plan, right? So I started to research and check my schedule and check which kind of conference I have and which kind of information it will be useful for me. So let's see how it works. First of all, we have our device, okay? As I mentioned before, you can use your Google Assistant, or you can use your own device, your smartphone, okay? So basically, I'm going to start asking an action that it will be, okay, Google, talk to my conference assistant. It sounds really nice, right? I have my own conference assistant. And then with that action, our device is gonna call actions on Google, and it will already know, okay, I'm gonna trigger your personal conference assistant, and I will create actions, okay? So basically, if you've been working with Google Assistant, you can not only use it with voice, you can use it also as a chatbot. So the first action that it's going to do is take that voice and do speak to text. That's going to do the actions on Google. Okay? Second, we have Cloud, Google Cloud, right? So with Google Cloud, what it's going to do is, okay, I already have my text. I already know what is the conference assistant, so I'm going to do some action regarding this. So once that I say hello to my assistant, it would already know, like, okay, which is your favorite topic? That's going to be my next action. It's like, it's smart. It already knows what's going to do next. So, of course, in my case, I say Firebase, right? And then with that topic, I will have available a few actions, okay? So we have a few things here. First of all, Google Actions. Second, Cloud, right? And third, we have to check a way to make our device understand what is Firebase. First of all, what is a topic? It should be available to understand what I'm saying. Like, okay, this is my own assistant about conference. What is a conference? So how we do that? If we were trying to do the same thing a few years ago, I will say like, okay, no worries, I need to hire somebody that tries to know something about natural language. It will be super hard. So imagine also to do a lot of algorithms related with language. Imagine if I want to do the same thing, not only in English, also in Spanish. So for that, we have another tool that is going to help us. Again, so we have to be available to say something, to say an action, right? So in this case, if we talk to our device and say, tell me about the talk with Firebase and IoT during my last visit to the city, okay? So in this case, as you can see, there are a few words here that are highlighted, right? Firebase, IoT, maybe because they are related, they can be topics about the conference. Second, we have city. City is another highlighted word. So the user, first of all, knows what is a city. But what about the computer? So basically, there will be an entity that it will say, okay, I know that city can be London, Nizhny Novgorod, or somewhere else. Let's see how we can make it. So remember that I was trying to mention that if we were trying to do this a few years ago, it will be pretty hard. I don't know a lot about natural language recognition. I don't have a master in data science. I'm just a software developer. So right now we have Dialogflow. With Dialogflow, we don't have to care about how the language is using, right, to translate to a different language. With that, we're going to just use Dialogflow. So with Dialogflow, we are going to create intents and entities. So let's see which one is going to be related here. So here is a Dialogflow console. How many of you here have used Dialogflow? Raise your hand. Awesome, cool. So if you were playing around, it's not that hard, actually. As I mentioned before, I really like to play around music and sound, so I decided to see what else can I do as a developer with sound. In this case, for example, we can create intents. Intents is going to be the action that the user is going to trigger, okay? In this case, what is your favorite topic? Or my favorite topic is Firebase. My favorite topic is IoT. So I need to create that intent so my device would already know that I will generate an action, okay? So basically, we have the training phrases. And here I can say, I want to hear about machine learning. I love Firebase and Google Cloud. So as you can see, you have the different words highlighted. So those are going to be my entities. Let's see how actually we can create that. Okay? So at first, we were having just Google Actions and then Cloud. But wait, there's even more. In the middle right now, we have Dialogflow. Dialogflow is going to be like the one that's going to do all the magic for us. It's going to understand, actually, that when I say hi, it's my welcome hi. So it's going to do some action. So basically, it's going to create the flow to have a conversation. And also, in the case that here, when I say, well, I love to hear about Firebase, it's going to recognize that Firebase is an entity, and I will do some action with that. So again, if we check the platform, we're going to have intents. Again, an intent is just a way to say something, right? And Dialogflow will generate an action with that. The thing is that we have different stuff here. First of all, we can generate an action with different training quotes, like, I love Firebase. Would you like to hear something about Firebase? So if we put all our training quotes over there, it's going to be easier to recognize your Dialogflow and generate an action. Second, we're going to have actions and parameters. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. And we can generate a response. So again, to do some recap, let's talk about what is an intent, okay? So it's going to try to map what I'm saying and the action that it should trigger. Okay? So if I say, talk about Firebase, it would already know which action it's going to do next, and it's going to do something. So that's my intent. The user knows that it's going to do something with my device. So basically, I just need to tell which action. Okay? And of course, each action can have more than one intent. So we're going to see how we can create intents and like what is the best way to proceed with this. And then, as I mentioned before, each intent can have training phrases. So if I just create one training phrase that is going to be, I like Firebase, right? If I say, I love Firebase, maybe it's not going to be the same. It will say, okay, I don't know what you're saying, right? So if we put more training quotes over there, it's going to be easier for Dialogflow and Google Actions to create a natural conversation. We are humans, right? So we were talking about this before, like what is more important, to have a natural conversation or just what is what the user needs. In my case, I believe that is a balance, but as we are humans and we are trying to talk with the device, we have different ways to say something, right? So we have to think about that, like the other person that is trying to talk is a human. So we need to make like a natural conversation. And again, so then we have the different topics. So as you can see here, we have machine learning, Firebase, cloud. All of these words are highlighted because before I create an entity, okay? So in this case, I have different training phrases, just two in this case. And then we have parameters. So basically, a parameter is, if you've been playing around functions before, of course, we already know that we can have different parameters. In this case, if I ask, what is your favorite color? I will know that my parameter is a color, actually, right? So with parameters also, we can make the conversation with required parameters. Like, I need a color to continue my conversation. If you don't answer me any color, it's like, I don't know what you're saying, okay? Second, we have the entities. Remember that I was mentioning topics, Firebase, cloud, IoT, right? So those will be like keys, highlights that Dialogflow is going to recognize, and basically we can do actions with that. In this case, I create an entity that is called topic, and with those topics, I can check which technology I would like to know about my last conferences. Again, in this case, it's not required, it's optional, but we have good news already. So in this example, you're going to see that I'm going to ask, the assistant is going to ask me what is my favorite color. So imagine that if I have to put every color that already exists. I'm kind of lazy person, so if I can do something that is already done, even better. So we already know things like cities, right? Google is smart enough to know which kind of cities we have, location, time, countries, so we can use these pre-built entities, right? And just use it, and Google is going to populate with the values already there. And second, we have developer entities. So the developer entities are values that we are going to create. If I just say topic, Actions on Google or Dialogflow doesn't know what is a topic. A topic can be maybe, in this case, it's Firebase IoT, but what if I want to talk about movies? What if I want to talk about food, right? So we need to take these kind of values and show to the console which kind of values are we working on. Well, in this case, as I mentioned before, you can create your own entity. In this case, it's topic, right? And in this case, I just put a few values, Firebase, machine learning, Android, Google Assistant, and actions on Google. And in fact, let's say, for example, AOG. AOG is actions on Google. So you can have more than one value and use synonyms to basically refer to AOG. In this case, it can be AOG or actions on Google. Okay, and second, we have the different prompts. So if we think about the basic example of what is your favorite color, what is your color, let's say that color is a required value, right? So the user don't answer or is pretty shy, right? We can create prompts to actually ask about that value and then relate with this entity, in this case color, or maybe it can be topic. And let's go to the funny part. We have something that is called fulfillment, right? We're gonna work a lot with Dialogflow, but then, of course, we need to create and do more stuff here. So basically, we can choose to use an inline editor. That basically the environment is gonna be with Node.js. My background, I'm a JavaScript person. Yeah, the dark side, JavaScript. And basically, you can use an inline editor to create an environment, or you can actually upload your own webhook. So for that, we can use a JSON. In this case, my friend Jason is like everywhere. So basically, you can create parameters. As you can see, this is an example about a context that has food, that has protein, everything. But what if I want to do something else? To have my own webhook, to do some actions related? Well, here we go. We can use Firebase. How many of you already know Firebase? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. Cool. Well, Firebase is a cool platform for developers. It has different features. So in this case, we're going to use just a few of them. And of course, it's not only related with the Google Assistant. If you're a mobile developer, you can use push notifications. Also, if you're working with your own startup, it's a really good platform to create and just, in this case, as developers, have more time to have fun and just focus into the real code, right? So to have more time and have fun, actually, we can use Firebase with the Google Assistant. How it's going to work? Basically, we're going to have the Google Assistant, right? We're going to ask something like, what is your favorite color? Okay? Or tell me about my last conference in Nizhny Novgorod. So in this case, we're going to create something in Dialogflow related with what we already saw, create our own entities, right? Create our own topics. And then with Dialogflow, what it's going to do is go into our fulfillment webhook, right? And then it's going to be related with cloud functions in Firebase. We're going to take a how. And then we can interact with Firebase in many different ways. In this case, we can actually use the real-time database. Also, we can use Firestore, right? Or also storage. So why we are using cloud functions and why we are creating our own webhook and not just using our internal tools. First of all, we can combine all the features that we already have with Firebase with actions on Google. So in my case, first, I've been a Firebase developer, and then I've been using actions on Google. So if you've already been using Firebase, you just have to learn a few things about actions on Google and just mix both of them. Second, in the case of using just one index.js, you have less opportunities or less chances to build more. Simple that. And third, of course, we can follow our best practices. If we are just using the internal tool, maybe we cannot have a Git or create our own repository or do even testing. So what do we need, basically? If you didn't use Firebase, first of all, you need the Firebase CLI. So remember, you're going to use npm, and you're going to install Firebase tool. Second, of course, we need to log in. Once that we log in, yeah, this is my console, as you can see. You're going to have these. And then, second, you need to connect your actions on Google with Firebase. So in this case, what we're going to see is Firestore, a little bit about cloud functions, and combine this with the Google Assistant. Again, all this is based in Node.js library. So if you've been playing around with JavaScript, it's pretty simple. It's the same environment. And we're going to see like how we can actually create our own intents. Remember what is an intent, right? We can actually use another parameters like ask something, right? And create our own values. So first thing that we need to do is deploy our fulfillment. Again, it's not mandatory to use Firebase, but for me, it's been pretty simple to combine both things. So I really suggest that, especially if you're going to use Actions on Google at the first time. So once that you connect your project with Firebase and you already have created your Actions on Google, do Firebase deploy. That's simple. When you do Firebase deploy, if you go, this is a Firebase console. If you go to the Firebase console, you're going to see in functions, actually, that you're going to have a URL. You have to choose that URL, copy that, and then you have to paste here in the place that is fulfillment. As you can see, you're going to see webhook, and you're going to have this enable. So and then, after that, you can actually connect your Firebase project with Actions on Google. And then, what you have is a chance to test, basically, what you've been doing in Actions on Google directly with Dialogflow. So what we're going to do now is do some testing and show you how you basically can create your action. As Elisa mentioned before, we have different kinds of integrations. I really suggest to take a look not only with the Google Assistant. Today, what we're going to do is use the Google Assistant, and then later you can use with different platforms like web, Facebook Messenger, and it's not that hard. And even easier, you can combine with cars. So the different kinds of cars is, as Elisa mentioned before, a different way to not only use voice, also use images if you need it. So we have a different kind of resources to use this. I'm going to share with this with you. And of course, you need to try to get involved with the community. But let's see the demo, and let's see how everything is going to break now. I'm kidding. Are you excited to see the demo? Yes? I don't see you. Maybe you're waiting for lunch, like, OK, stop talking, I'm hungry. So here we have our dashboard, right? So, and then we're going to, this is my test app, right? So here, basically, I don't need even a device. I can just use this platform. So I will start talk to my test app.
Sure, here's the test version of my test app. Hi, Rockstar Speaker. To get to know you better, I'll just need to get your name from Google. Is that okay?
So I can say yes, right? But in this case, I will just write to make sure. And also, I don't know, in this case, it's using Google Sign In. So basically, it's asking me permission to check my data, in this case, my name. And it's telling me Rockstar Speaker, so I already like these assistants. I will say yes.
Thanks, Laura Morinigo. What's your favorite color?
Well, this is the basic question that I mentioned before. As you can see, they already know my name. The kind of pronunciation is weird, but yeah. In this case, I will just put blue, not Blair, blue.
Laura Morinigo, we have a few events that you've been participating this year. Would you like to hear more information?
Well, in this case, I just did a simple question just to show you like how I can get involved with a conversation just doing a simple question. In this case, I use color. They already know which kind of colors are already there, so I don't have to create any topic or something like that. And in this case, it's asking me if I want to know something about my events. And I put yes.
Which topic? Firebase, IoT, Android?
Well, in this case, the information that I already have is about Firebase, like my favorite topic. So I will put Firebase. Also, I can talk.
Here's more information about one of your events. You gave a talk at Google I/O Extended in Nizhny Novgorod about Firebase and machine learning. Remember to drink a lot of vodka and have fun with one of the best communities in Russia.
Cool. It works. So, yeah, if you see here, I even, let me take, this is the last picture that we have in the Google I/O Extended this year, if somebody of you were here before. So basically here, I'm combining some information that I have in Firebase as Firebase storage, right? I have this image. And also, I populate some information about my last conference. So it's pretty simple. I hope that you can, that you learn something today. And always remember that in these cases I mentioned before, this kind of events is an opportunity to connect with other amazing developers like you. And of course, share what you know. Thank you very much. Is there any way to get or use your data not only within the Firebase? Yes. I mean, Firebase is a platform that I suggest to use because it's super simple. But as we mentioned before, you can use another platforms, another environment that you need. You can choose your own server, your own backend to interact with actions on Google. Not a problem. Okay, it says AI tools becomes much easier to use last days. That's true. Do you think they'll be available for non-programmers to create scripts any soon? Yeah, I completely believe that. So in terms of also even Dialogflow, you don't have to code that much. So I believe that right now, even as developers, we still have a lot of tools around, like not only language recognition, we have Cloud Vision API. I don't know anything about data science, but I can already use Cloud Vision API to recognize images. So in terms of future, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, completely. Yeah. It says, do Google use its own NLP library? If it used, could you tell which NLP they've used? Yeah, the one with Google Cloud. It's already done there. It's text-to-speak. I don't know the name, but it's already included in Google Cloud. That's why we are not using that. The part that I was mentioned with Google Cloud, that's the NLP.
Hi, my name is Mandy Chan, and I'm the Developer Community Manager for Actions on Google from Mountain View. I help educate developers about how easy it is to build actions for the Google Assistant by creating sample code and different types of tutorials, like collabs and blog posts. As you just heard in Laura's presentation, it's very easy to integrate Firebase with Actions on Google. If you are interested in learning more, check out my blog post below about how to use Cloud Firestore with Actions on Google. Now, if you haven't built any actions for the Google Assistant yet, to get started, we have collabs from beginner to intermediate level. Make sure you go check them out. And for those of you who have already built some actions, but want to explore additional features that can help you build more engaging action, I highly recommend you try out our sample actions. Sample actions allow you to edit the full source code of a working action, such as an adventure game or a music player. It is the fastest and easiest way to create actions. If you are a developer with a unique idea, then you will want to check out our Node.js client library. Whether it's an action that helps users get things done in their daily life or a fun game action, our platform allows developers to innovate with the Google Assistant. After building voice applications for 3 years, I'm still amazed by the creativity of our developers. So share your action with us. You can do this by tweeting us at Actions on Google with the hashtag AOGDevs. The next talk by our Google developer expert, Agu, is about creating a persona for the action. Much like in web development, we need to consider the style and branding aspects. For voice applications, it is important to identify what the brand message is and show the personality of your action by applying the conversation design principles. I hope you enjoy it.
Today we will talk about Google Assistant and specifically about creating persona. So usually I give very technical talks where we show lots of codes, how to optimize apps, how to build them using Dialogflow. But today I was asked to talk about persona because they told me that this is something that is usually overlooked in the development, and that's why I just saw that it's important to, take an hour of time and just look back into the beginning when you just start creating. Just if you could raise quickly your hands, how often, or actually, first of all, how many of you published at least one Google Assistant application? Awesome, fantastic. So yeah, for those of you who didn't, for those of you who did, I'm sure you already did that really well, and maybe you will, help me and if I will miss something, you can just comment on that at the end. But for those of you who didn't start it, I think it's very important to look back and before you actually jump onto writing code using Dialogflow, to just think about creating the really, really solid persona. And that's what we were talking about today. So first of all, a little bit about myself. So I'm Google Developer Expert GD for Google Assistant. I'm leading a Google Developer Group and Women Tech Maker Group in London. I'm mentoring brands and companies and individual developers at seed stage startup incubator organized by Google called Google Launchpad on both AI and marketing sites. I'm director at Motoword. This is a New York-based company. And before Motoword, I was working for different companies. I used to work for Google, for Todoist, for other companies. I did my PhD in quantum chemistry. And I'm UK STEM ambassador, which means I'm teaching kids how to code using Scratch, using Python, using microbit, all kinds of technologies. And what is probably relevant to for us today, I'm also a musician. So I used to work with voice a lot, and my parents, they work at television companies. So my mom used to work as a sound producer. So I grew up in the area of sound editing and sound development for quite a lot. I basically grew up looking at people doing sound design pretty much all my life. Yeah, and I'm also a speaker at different conferences. This year I'm talking at almost 40 conferences in 14 different countries, including France, so I'm really excited to be here. So yeah, jumping to the actual topic of the voice assistant. So voice revolution, I actually call it voice evolution because this is the long way. And technology came all the way through the speech recognition, through machine learning, so that at the end of the day, we actually have and are ready for Google Assistant. So this is not something that happened overnight to Google or any other company. So there is a major shift in technology every 10 years. And if you look at this, you have to think about this way. Every time new technology comes up, there are always 3 stages. First stage is always people get crazy about technology. People get really, really excited. It's called frenzy. And this is the first stage where the technology is really raw and really fresh. And then technology get adopted. And people started using it.